I recently bought an electric car. Well, we should all do our bit to help save the planet after all. The climate is changing fast and every little counts. By the year 2030, EVs, or electric vehicles, will account for 28% of all sales and 58% in 2040, so we know which direction things are going. When I was considering what to buy, I had to consider a number of factors, like the cost, how long it took to charge the battery, and the range, the distance I could travel with a full battery. It turns out that a lot of the things I had to think through when buying my new car share a lot of basic principles with the concepts of domain and range that we find in higher maths. Domain and range allow us to understand outputs for a given set of inputs when we apply a particular function. Buckle up and I'll show you what I mean. This is Think 4. When I'm charging the battery of my car, the electricity I'm adding is the input going into my car. The input is like the x values that we enter into the function, and we call this the domain. How far my car can travel is the range of the function, and we use the same word in mathematical language. The range is the y values that come out of a function. Questions in the exam could ask us to state the domain or range of a function. The following examples show the domain and range of different functions. Remember, just like the electricity going into my car, the domain is the possible x values of the function, and the range is how far I can drive, the y values coming out. In this first example, y equals log to the base 10 of x. The range is all the real values of y. The domain is restricted and takes the values greater than 0. You can see this on the graph. In this one, we see the graph of y equals sine x. The domain is all real values of x, and the range is between 1 and -1. In this last one, we see the graph of y equals 1 over x. The domain is all real values of x, excluding x equals 0, and the range is all real values of y, excluding y equals 0. The final concept we need to think about is restrictions on the domain. In school and in our country, there are rules and laws we have to follow. There are things we cannot do, and the same applies in maths. We can't divide by 0, and we can't square root a negative number. So when you're asked to find the domain of a function, you must look to see if these two laws will be broken for certain values of x. They cannot be in the domain if they will break the law. In this example, we have y equals 1 over the square root of 2x minus 1. First of all, we cannot divide by 0, so x cannot equal a half. Also, we cannot square root a negative number, so 2x minus 1 must be greater than 0. If we solve that, we find that x must be greater than a half. This is the restricted domain of the function. So understanding domain and range matters, and it's fairly straightforward. You need to make sure you can describe the domain and range of functions as fully as possible. The simple rules need to be followed, like don't leave in any values that cannot be in the domain, but also make sure you include the ones that should be there. When I had a petrol car, I broke the simple rules. I put diesel in instead of unleaded. A costly mistake. Don't do the same as me. Now all I have to worry about is having enough charge in my new electric car to get me to my destination. Thankfully, I have domain and range to help me. This was Think 4. Thanks for watching.